I've got the camera set up. So if we get a fish on, you guys can come along. This is perfect weather. Usually way too rough out here while I'm downrigger fishing to have a camera up. Too much to keep track of. You, the boat, you know, you guys are my camera crew, but sometimes you don't, you're not very helpful. I'm only trolling about 1.5 miles per hour or less. I don't have my downrigger set up. I mean my GPS set up so I can gauge it, but I know we're moving pretty darn slow, and that's what you want. There you go. Holy smokes. Good morning. My name is Tom. I come to you from the great state of Maine. We're going to step on some toes today. We're going to step on some old myths. Some old myths about fishing and cold water and cold temperatures. And, you know, how far back have these myths been pushed forward? I want to tell you right here in the beginning of this video, I don't fish like other people. Never have, never will. I don't listen to their stories. I don't listen to the myths. Water's too cold, gotta wait for it to warm up. How many times have you been in a coffee shop or in a fishing store, a fishing tackle, and listened to that conversation of some bonehead talking about the water's too cold, the fish aren't biting? Myth, 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 myth. Ginormic myth. Probably because of stream fishing, river fishing, stuff like that. That's the only place that I agree with water's too cold. And I'm not sure that it's water too cold as much as fish haven't moved back in yet. That's still to be debated, I guess. I'm not exactly sure where the fish go during the winter months. When they're in a small stream or when they're in a small river, I'm not exactly sure where the fish go. That's why I say that's left up to debate. And maybe it just plain takes some time to work their way back up the river or back up the stream. Who knows? But when we're talking about lakes and we're talking about ponds, there's no such thing as the water's too cold. And I know if you go stand by the boat landing, you're going to hear that from sunup to sundown. Well, the next time you hear that, I want you to kind of have a little chuckle and remember this video. It's nonsense. It's bull. It's BS. It's nonsense. If that was the case, the water is too cold. Let's think this through. And let's think about this channel. Keep it simple, stupid. And let's keep common sense. Common sense, common sense, common sense about fishing and hunting and all that. Here's a common sense question for you. If on April 1st the water is too cold and you can't catch a fish because the water is too cold, that's on April 1st. Then can you please tell me why on March 31st, if you went ice fishing, which we used to be able to do, the ice was still safe. It probably was still safe in Northern Maine, March 31st. So can you tell me why we can go ice fishing on March 31st in the same water and catch all kinds of fish, but then on April 1st, the water's too cold. The water's too cold. It's the same water, it's the same lake, it's the same everything. What's different? The fishermen. It's the fishermen shoveling that pile of horse manure. If you don't catch a fish and you go to town, it sounds like it's a better story than I don't know how to catch fish. It sounds like a better story to tell the water was too cold and we didn't get any bites. Because that's a bunch of malarkey. We started this conversation last week in another video about when to fish Maine, how to fish Maine, where to fish Maine. No different than last week. As soon as that ice drops, get your boat in the water. But don't fall into the category of all those people that just drag a line on top of the water. 90% of the boats out there are skipping a line on the top of the water all day long. Run one line up there. Run two. If I'm by my boat, if I'm by myself in the boat, I have two lines. Now, I don't run that one on top of the water all day long. If that one on top of the water is not getting any bites, then can you tell me why we're staying up there? I watch people all day long troll right on top of the water with no bites at all whatsoever. Other days, that's a perfect place to be. But if you've had a line up there for an hour with no bites on it at all, and okay, so you're a hard head, and you're gonna wait 2 hours. If you've been dragging a line up there for 2 hours, then maybe it's time to think about, hey, this might not be working. This might not be working. So what are you gonna do? There's several ways to fix that problem. And it doesn't mean going back to the old school of some of the old lines and all that, because I don't do that. What you find in my tackle box is what's called a lead rudder. Got a chain on both sides of it, and it could be 1/4 of an ounce, it could be 1/2 an ounce. The ones I'm running are about a ounce and a half. All it is a lead rudder. I hook it onto my line, my main line coming off my fish pole, and then I put a 6-foot leader on the other side of that lead rudder. And when I troll, this is a cool trick, let me tell you. When I troll now, my lure, doesn't matter what I'm dragging for a lure. You just don't want a lure that's gonna be pulling you up to the surface. I stay away from like spoons and stuff like that. When I'm trolling this line here on top of the water. Number one, this 1.25 ounce weight is going to make that line run at about 15 inches below the surface. So now I'm no longer skipping along the top. Now I'm running at about 15 inches down. That's a different water column. Maybe even down where they can see what's going on. And here's the nice thing about that lead weight. Is if you got your boat, when I troll, this is a rule of thumb. When I think I'm trolling fast enough, I troll just a little bit faster. Doesn't mean I'm a speedboat, but when I'm trolling my line and I'm really comfortable and I say, well, that's good, I'll give it just a little bit more gas. That comes with time, practice, and experience, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you take that, we're talking now about that lead weight that I'm using as that steel rudder, that lead rudder. if you stop that boat and you troll it along, and just stop for a minute, or slow way down. You're going pretty fast. Slow way down. What do you think's going to happen with that 1.25 ounce weight? It's going to drop. It's going to take your lure, and it's going to bottom dive. And once I've let that set for, say, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, depending on how deep the water is, now I'm going to pick the pace up again on my outboard, and that 1.25 ounce rudder has been doing this while I've been stopped. And as soon as I take off, it's gonna, and I give a good gas when I take off, it's gonna pull that lead rudder right back up to the surface. Look how much water I've just hit again. And do that while you're trolling down the lake. And the other thing is to slow your motor way down and turn really sharp. Turn the boat really sharp. That'll allow that sinker back there to do the same thing. Only now it's looking like it's pulling away. Now it's not only going straight down, but now you've got it turning a corner down there. Do that and then come right back around. Do an S. You don't got to troll a straight line. People that troll a straight line don't catch very many fish. I'm telling you, they only troll that way because everybody else is trolling that way. Start trolling. Start trolling like a snake. Especially if you know where there's a drop-off. If you know there's a drop-off, you've got your map right there. What do you want to just cross that drop-off once for? You want to cross that drop-off as much as you can. So if you come down that drop-off like a snake, you got your boat coming down there, doing S-turns with 1.25 ounce lead weight on there, you're working that whole drop-off. It could be a mile long. It could be a half a mile long. You've just set your boat up for some of the best fishing that there is on that lake. So more reasons to go hunt up them drop-offs. Find out where it drops from 6 feet of water to 20 feet of water. Find out where it drops from 6 feet of water to 50 feet of water. Find them drop-offs out there with your depth finder. Mark them. Mark them with a GPS. I'm telling you, that's the best way to fish those kinds of drop-offs is with one of these lead. I'm not sure you can still buy them because I've had them for 1 billion years, and I know that they've made a lot of lead stuff illegal here in the state of Maine. But what you can do, if you can get your hands onto them, is paint them. Paint them up. That's from what I've gathered. If it's a painted lead weight, then it's legal as long as it's painted. So paint them up. Paint them up, and then I'm still fishing with them. I've been fishing that way for 40 years. Same thing on a fly rod. If you want to run a fly rod behind the boat, you can still run them lead weights. It does make the fight just a little bit harder, but doesn't need big tackle for this, and you don't need a fancy leader on the end of that sinker. What I put on is about 6 feet of 20-pound test monofilament. And then I put a swivel on the end of it so I can interchange my lures all the time. Most of the lures that I'm traveling with or trolling with would be a repeller, something that looks like a smelt, or I'd be trolling a frozen smelt or a frozen sucker, anything like that for working the shoals and working those drop-offs. So I don't want to make this too long, but I did want to get into a couple of nuts and bolts on the best way to troll right after the ice is out and get over that myth of the water's too cold. The water's never too cold. Just get out there. It's the fishermen that are too cold, because you will want to dress like you're going ice fishing if it's a cloudy, windy day out on the lakes here in the state of Maine. It will be cold. I don't think we stopped and had a cup of coffee because I was getting excited about trolling. Well, you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week.